Well, I believe we're live and it didn't click.
We are live. Hello.
That just glitched very badly. Sorry, everyone. You don't get the intro today because for some reason I don't have the video intro on this.
You know, that means that everybody's out because they only tune in to hear the song.
I'm gonna right now do the regular intro like it just played. Okay, living the stream. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host Denny Carter. Denny, what's going on, buddy?
I want to hear about Facebook Marketplace because you say that you quote did Facebook Marketplace. I don't I don't know what that means. So tell me, what do you mean?
Have you ever done Facebook Marketplace before, Denny?
Does it sound like I have?
No. So you know like Craigslist and stuff, yeah. Like
I recall Craigslist in the early 2000s.
Probably dabbled at some point. So here's what happened. So as you know, I got my backyard. Someone said sorry. I'm all messed up because of that intro.
Yeah.
All right. I got my backyard renovated. Okay. As you know, Denny, as some of the listeners may or may not know, right? So over the last like 8 months, because we don't have basements in North Carolina. Most houses don't have basements. Like 10% of houses at most have basements. Okay,
because of flooding, or
I think it's the clay to get to like dig and to like get into like that low of ground. By the way, my chair, I need to replace my chair. So if I'm shrinking as this podcast goes on, that's because I need to get a new chair. So this backyard project happens, and because we don't have basements, a lot of the stuff that we either had like in the back, like chairs and stuff like that, or our old grill, we got a new grill, but our old grill has just been chilling out in the garage because we don't have basements, right? So we haven't used our garage at all, but a lot of people in North Carolina will only use one garage, if not zero garages, and just park their cars in the driveway all the time, because we don't have a basement for storage. And it's just, you essentially use your garage as your basement, right? So they do things like you have what they call, which I didn't realize is not a thing outside of, because I never really thought about it when I lived up north, but where you did have basements, but they have bonus rooms in a lot of homes, in North Carolina, which is typically the room that's above the garage, because garages in the north, right? The room above your garage might just be your living room or something like that. But since the garage is on the main level in homes here, you get a room above the garage, which is typically the bonus room, which is actually where my office is, where I'm sitting right now, is right above the garage. Okay?
When the room is bonus.
Room is bonus, correct. Okay. And so with that in mind, we finally finished this project, and I need to clean the garage. I had this itch. I'm a dad. Like whenever things are like unbelievably messy in a spot where you walk by it every day, because we still would walk out of the garage, to get to our car and stuff like that. I'm like, I have a free Saturday today before this Pitt game, because Pitt played WVU and Pitt won, hail to Pitt. And before that game happened, throughout the morning, early afternoon, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to clean this garage. So I go in and clean the garage, and I don't know about you, Denny, but when there's just stuff, you have to ask your wife if we need this thing or not.
You absolutely do.
Right? Because if you throw out that thing,
you need clearance.
It's bad.
I have made that mistake. I have gone to the local dump, and gotten rid of stuff. And she's like, so where's the so-and-so? And I'm like, oh my God. My God. Yeah.
So basically the morning is me going up to Amanda saying, things like, hey, can we, do we need this? What is this was a common question I asked, because I have no idea what these like things are that are in our garage. So I cleaned the garage all morning and early afternoon. And as I'm doing that, we're getting rid of things naturally, right? And so Rich Ryan says, how rich is Denny that he's never haggled for $5 up for a third-hand item from Facebook Marketplace? It's so true. The fact that I have to explain this to you.
Living in the lap of luxury here. I don't have to sell stuff in my office for $5. I don't even know what Facebook Marketplace is.
This is currently one of the most disastrous starts to any podcast I've ever had in my life, Denny. Right now, okay, I have a bathroom right behind this door, okay? And right now, down the street, they decided to turn off the water because the county is fixing some water problem. And as you're talking, I didn't hear anything you just said.
No.
Because because as you're talking, my toilet in the bathroom back here is just going absolutely bananas. Just gargling, making noises I didn't know existed on this earth.
I'm really sorry. This is a disastrous start for you.
Yeah, so it might be going on all show. I have no idea. This is going to be really rough because it's distracting the crap out of me.
We have a clogged toilet here, and I can't get it unclogged. I did not clog it, by the way. One of my children clogged it, and I cannot get that thing. I've used 2 different kinds of plungers so far. I can't get it unplunged.
Wow. This is honestly one of the most. I might have to get up and like close the door here in a second. Can you hear it?
No.
This is absurd. Anyway, this is really bad podcasting.
You can I can handle it if you need to go.
Give me 1 minute while I go and close this door.
All right. I'm going to look at some of the comments here because you guys are cooking in the comments. We're not going to answer any lineup questions, just so you guys know. Let's see. Nick welcomes me to the internet. Thank you, Nick. JJ's back. All right.
I'm back. I don't know. I couldn't even imagine what you were telling listeners right there. Anyway, we have all this stuff that we're getting rid of. And we had a table and chairs, we had a grill, all this kind of stuff. I put on Facebook Marketplace, and my wife told me, don't put it for free because everyone will immediately message you and your DMs are going to be crazy. I was like, I don't care. I want these out as soon as possible. I put a grill on there for free on Facebook Marketplace. You know, Facebook Marketplace where you can post things on Facebook. That's what it is to sell. Right.
Okay.
And immediately, I got for this grill, which is a nice grill. It was used, but it was a nice grill. I just wanted someone to haul it out. Immediately, I got 45 DMs from people asking what my address was, how whether or not it's sold yet, all this kind of stuff. So I got someone to come out, pick up the grill. You know, they brought their truck.
Yeah.
I helped them, get on the bed of the truck. And then someone else came out, got a table and chairs. It is the wild, wild west Facebook Marketplace. And I have to say, if you put something for free, you will get literally hundreds of messages. And then I had to go through and make sure, because I hate having unread messages, right? So you'd have to just click it and let them know that it was sold. It's kind of an adventure if you're posting stuff on there.
That sounds awful. Hey, throw away the grill next time.
Yeah, but where am I going to throw? Like, what I'm gonna haul it myself to the dump.
Right.
Like that's the problem. Like the large majority of the battle is just getting someone to take the thing for you. In a lot of these cases,
yeah,
I want it to go to a good home. I actually posted it to my Discord and said, "Hey, anyone in Charlotte want it's a good grill? I'm not trying to make money off of this thing. I just want someone to."
You have a better grill now.
It's not necessarily a better grill. It's just a built-in grill that I can't not have sitting there because it was built in with the backyard reno.
Well, you now have the largest grill in North Carolina.
It's true. It's true. It's like an 8-burner grill.
You could cook 100 hot dogs at the same time.
I honestly, if I didn't want to waste money on hot dogs, I would do it just to show people that I could grill. It. I could definitely put 100 hot dogs on there and grill them all at once.
That's crazy. Meanwhile, I have people say, "Oh, Denny Rich." I have the smallest grill in North America. So
that's true.
I'll have you know, I have the People's Grill. JJ has the fancy grill.
It's like my grill had a baby and it made Denny's grill, and Denny's grill didn't grow after it was born.
No, it's unfortunately stunted in growth.
Right. Yes, exactly. But yeah, that was my Facebook Marketplace adventure. I also, Denny, got a new jug this week.
Oh my God. It's a new jug, same as the old jug.
Nah, it's a little different. There's no metal on it. So Amanda would always complain that she knew when I was getting up and walking somewhere because she could hear the from the metal of the handle. And so now it's more plastic and you can't, can you hear that? No, you can't hear that.
No, I can't.
Couldn't hear the toilet though.
It's very smooth. By the way, I want you to know that Troy Aikman is a water bro like you.
Is he?
Yeah, I read a profile of him and he's obsessed with water. Just drinks water all day, every day.
Like, I'm not like, I need to be better about it, to be honest with you. Like the last handful of weeks, I've had some left over towards the end of Matt Blair. We haven't heard it from Matt Blair. Matt Blair out of nowhere, from just out of complete left field.
We love Matt Blair.
We do love Matt Blair. But Matt Blair says, why is JJ drinking from a propane tank? Yeah, look, I got rid of my propane tanks, guys, because my grill is now hooked up to a gas line. I don't need propane anymore.
Matt
Folks.
Matt, he's still on various social media platforms that I'm on, and I appreciate that because Matt is like effortlessly funny in a way, that like people who think they're funny are not. They're not as funny as Matt. So Matt's one of the funniest people I've ever known on the internet.
Michael just said, anyone ever noticed that JJ sounds exactly like he looks, but Denny sounds nothing like he looks?
Really?
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
I would love an expanded conversation on that. What am I supposed to sound like?
That's pretty interesting. What are you supposed to sound like? I think that you sound like you.
Yeah, no, right. I mean,
like the way you look.
I want to know, is my voice higher than you thought, or should it be lower? I mean, what is it? That's interesting. I will say though, your voice does match you for some reason. I just feel that.
Weird. Interesting. There is like a weird when you see someone IRL, even if you've been like listening to them, like especially if you just listened to their podcast or like heard them before,
Yeah.
even if you visually know what they look like, but then you match the two things, it's always a weird experience. But I think people with me have never been like, oh wow, like I'm matching that together. But maybe with you, I kind of had that.
Yeah, really?
Maybe.
I will say the Zoomers will never know what it's like to listen to a DJ on the radio for years and years and years. And it's just this disembodied voice that's always in the car with you, right? And then you see a picture of them and you're like, no, wait, what? No, that can't be the person I've been listening to for 20 years. But yeah, so that's an experience no one will appreciate going forward.
This is going to be one of those things that I bring up on the show that I probably regret because people are going to say, what on earth are you talking about right now? Okay. Are there ever people just like, not close friends, but just like people, acquaintances who you met maybe 10 years ago and you've just kind of seen them go through their life. And then you kind of like look at them again and you're like, you don't look the same way that I thought that you looked. Do you ever get that feeling?
That is a hyper specific situation.
It's a really weird sensation. I get it all the time where I remember someone, maybe it's just like what I have in my head as to how they look. And then I do like a double take and I'm like, you actually don't look like the thing that I thought you looked like at all. You're completely different.
I don't know if that's ever happened to me, by the way.
Do you think they've been replaced is what Index of Suspicion says?
right.
I don't know. Look, maybe this is one of those, and like Eric Belair said, sounds like a glitch in the Matrix. Maybe this is one of those. It
does sound a little bit like a Matrix.
One of those simulation things,
Yeah. We had someone jump in the chat and say Matt Blair is a joke. I just found that so funny. I mean, if you're actually being mean about it, that's even funnier.
Very fair. Yeah,
there's no reason to be mean.
There's absolutely no reason to hate on Matt Blair. He's one of the kindest folks that I've come across within the space, which clearly hasn't been in the space for a while because we haven't heard from him in like 15 years.
Man.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see him, and it was a great comment to come in on.
Oh, he comes in hot. I mean, he just does.
It's just typical Blair, man. Typical Blair. Good for him. All right, let's recap what happened in week 2. Quarterbacks sucked across the league, but we had Danny Dimes and Baker Mayfield who scored 18 plus fantasy points. We also had Derek Carr who scored 21.8 fantasy points. And then Justin Fields, the double-digit attempts theory did not really pan out because they're not letting him just like let loose at all. And it's quite frustrating, but he still scored 11.4, which sounds horrible, which it is in a vacuum. But when you give it context, it actually wasn't like, like week wrecking for you because quarterback was just so low scoring.
23 rushing attempts for Justin Fields through 2 games, and it's all for nothing. And I don't understand it.
Well, they're not scoring any like they're Chris Boswell. Did you see the one tweet that's been going around? He has more points than the New York Giants or something this year.
That's tough. Wow.
Yeah. Some along those lines. That could be completely fake. Tight end, we had Isaiah Likely only puts up 4.6. Cade Otton actually scored fewer than 0 points last week. He had minus 0.4 points.
He's so bad. I mean,
he's really
like
bad.
One of the worst tight ends in the history of this show. I feel like we should just not talk about him.
Yeah, we need to not bring him up ever again.
We're banning him.
But the nickname Cardio Cade is really good.
That's pretty funny. Oh,
Yeah.
just real quick. Brian Smith says he always expected Rich Rebar, to look like Zach Morris because
Right.
because Reeves has used the Zach Morris avatar on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, for a long time. And you know what the thing is? We've met. Me and my wife have met Rich and his wife, and Melissa will sometimes refer to him as Zach accidentally.
Oh, accident, really?
Yeah. He'll be like, hey, she'll be like, is Zach going to be in town this summer?
Interesting.
And I'm like, Zach? Oh, Rich. Oh, okay.
And Rich, by the way, and this is nothing against Rich's looks. He just looks nothing like Mark Paul Gosselaar at all.
No. Handsome, but not like Zach.
Yeah, handsome, just in a different kind of handsome. Yeah. We also had Colby Parkinson. He only scored 2.2. Theo Johnson gave us a goose egg. It was a pretty rough week at tight end. Defense was fine. The Chargers scored 11. I shouldn't say fine. One of the three was fine. The Chargers scored 11. Jacksonville scored 3, and Washington scored 4. So overall, below average week for us. That was coming off week 1, though. Week 1 was pretty strong. So, I think through 2 weeks, we're like fine.
What do you expect? You expect us to deliver every week? We will not. That is our promise to you. We will not be consistent.
If we delivered every week, we'd get too many listeners. We don't.
You wouldn't cut. You right. We want to keep it down. We want this to be a hipster podcast,
right? Okay? Otherwise, we'd have so many comments in the YouTube chat. We wouldn't have been able to see that Matt Blair was back from the dead.
Too much. This is for Matt Blair.
Yeah, this podcast we actually have been doing solely for Matt Blair over the last 11 years.
Yeah. I forgot to mention that to you, Matt, a decade ago.
Yeah, but this show, it's living the stream, and really the tagline is for Matt Blair.
For Matt Blair.
Yeah, that's all it is. All right, let's move on to week number 3 streamers. Denny, kick things off with a quarterback.
Okay, I got to get to my notes, and we have Sam Darnold against Houston. It's not a bad environment, 46-point total between the Texans and Vikings. Texans profile is something of a pass funnel defense, although it's still hard to say with only 2 weeks of data. And the Vikings are as pass heavy as usual, 4% over their expected drop back rate through 2 games. I mentioned Sam Darnold in my regression files piece on Roto World if folks want to check that out. But let's just suffice it to say that he is running super hot on downfield shots. That's what happens when you connect for 97-yarder in week 2. I don't think that keeps up quite as good as it's been, but he's a good play.
I think we probably can't play him if Justin Jefferson doesn't go, right? Like
but he is expected to play.
Yeah. I'm just making that call. Yeah. Someone asked that.
Yeah. If Jefferson is out, I would be very hesitant to play.
Yeah. Yeah, but I agree. Shout outs to a lot of the Twitter docs who were on that Jefferson injury like when it happened. Like they were actually saying like this is not going to be serious, and they were right.
There you go.
All right, we're going to go to Derek Carr, who I think at this point should be rostered in probably 100% of leagues. The way that this Saints offense is moving, I know that people are going to say, "Oh, that's unsustainable. They can't keep this up." I mean, maybe not, but we see pocket passing quarterbacks kind of be relevant, in those late rounds every single year. This is what I talked about a lot of my show entering the season with like a guy like Brock Purdy, where I'm like, why pay a premium for Brock Purdy when Will Levis or, it's not like I said Derek Carr is the guy, but one of these players, one or two, could end up emerging. And I think Derek Carr could be that guy this year in this Clint Kubiak offense, which I think we're both pretty bullish about the offense because of the way they've been operating. They're number 1 in play action passing right now. They were dead last year. They're using a lot of motion. Carr right now has a 12% touchdown rate. That's not going to maintain week over week, but he's also not going to throw the ball like 15 times every week. He's not going to that's the one thing, like when we look at a player like Chris Olave in these offenses, you're in a small sample size, and in that small sample, there's a lot of splash plays. What that means is if that player that you have on your fantasy team is not involved in those splash plays, then all of a sudden, because the drive is over, that player is not going to rack up any receptions and yards and such. And you're going to be frustrated and say, why isn't he involved? Well, he's not involved because the entire drive was a 75-yard bomb, right?
That's right.
You gotta put that into context. You got to understand that these small sample sizes can really burn you if you think of things that way. Not only that, Chris Olave had a 43% target share in week 2. He's going to be just fine. But they get Philadelphia this week. Philadelphia has been a top 5 opponent in these early numbers in terms of adjusted fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. They've been below average at getting to the quarterback. I don't know if Philly's defense is really going to work the way they want it to work because they're not able to generate as much pressure, I think, as they necessarily want. And they need that in the way that they play that. We saw it like in the game against the Falcons
Yeah.
last night, right?
Oh
Um,
man, what a disaster.
yeah, that was wild, man. That was one of the
Uh,
craziest. Like, not only that, but it did you not feel like the Falcons could finally have like they're gonna now move forward and kind of be
oh,
the offense that we want them to be if they just run more no huddle and just
right.
let Cousins kind of do things and make things simple?
They discovered something there at the
Right.
end, and all that needs to happen is the safeties need to be so high that they can just attack the middle of the field. I mean, the Eagles obviously lost that one, but yeah, I think that the Falcons saved their season and maybe saved our fantasy
Yeah.
players in this offense.
I'm hoping so. I want them to run a lot more no huddle. They mentioned that I think on the Manning cast where they were like, Matt Ryan brought it up where he was like, basically in these environments where you're new to the offense, new to the team, it's kind of nice to be in a 2-minute drill because you're going back to the basics and you're running the same like 5 or 6 plays or how many plays they have that were basically the first installs of the playbook that you learned, and so you
Mm,
know them really really well. And so if you're doing this in this high tempo way, it's a lot easier to kind of march down the field and do what the Falcons did. And so I hope that they start to dumb things down a little bit more to get Cousins more
yeah,
acclimated and
yeah,
comfortable. But Cousins, even after the game, he was like, yeah, I've been playing poorly. Like
yeah,
he recognizes it, which to me is a good thing. Like to me, it says this
yes.
is just the start of what we kind of projected the Falcons offense to be from a fantasy perspective.
I cannot believe that he scored 19 fantasy points last night.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And thank God Drake
wow.
London. I won a dynasty matchup by 0.2 points because I had Drake London.
Oh, you dog. I lost. I had Drake London and he got that late touchdown and I lost by like half a point in my
Oh,
league. It was killer.
it's rough. Anyway, New Orleans has the fifth highest total on the week. I think Derek Carr is a smash play.
Yeah, I have Gino against the Dolphins. So we are back. Okay. It was doom and gloom for the Seahawks passing game in week 1. I never wavered. Of course, I wavered. I pissed my pants the entire week. But we are back. Seahawks were 14% over their expected drop back rate in week 2 against Patriots after being negative 12% in week 1 against Denver. That's quite the swing. Gino 327 and a touchdown against the Patriots. He was I have a little fun stat here for the folks. 7 for 7 on throws outside the pocket. Really just cooking right now in this offense. He had 4 rushes in week 1, 5 in week 2. So that's not nothing as far as the Konami upside goes for Gino. I will say Tua not being in this game sucks
Yeah, it
because
does.
it probably means that they're gonna, run the ball. They're gonna be more conservative on offense, unfortunately.
It was going to be a really fun game if Tua were healthy.
It would have been, yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah. I'm hoping though that Jackson Smith and Jigba is here to stay because I have a lot of JSN this year.
I
Like a
do
lot.
too. I have a
Yeah.
frightening amount. Yeah.
Yeah. And I it was one of those things where I didn't fully realize it. I usually am pretty good at spreading out my exposure with early round guys, but then once you get to the middle, late rounds, I have pretty similar guys throughout. I didn't realize it till week 1. I'm like, wow, I have JSN on like 75% of my redraft teams
Me
right now. Like this is
too.
crazy. Yeah.
I have so many. Yeah, and in best ball, I'm just stacked with Seahawks
Yeah.
and by the way, and Saints. I don't know really what compelled me, but I have a lot of Saints
Yeah.
going in
I have a
best
lot of
ball.
Saints too. A lot of Derek Carr. Derek Carr is my, I think, second or third highest rostered quarterback in best ball
Well,
right
there
now.
you go. You're going to have an even bigger grill
I
by the end
no,
of the season.
no, that won't I don't have nearly enough Jordan Mason. It's been rough. It's been a rough start for me.
Well,
Yeah.
CMC will be back by week 11. It'll be all right.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Gardner Minshew next. They get Carolina. Carolina has to be the most depressing football team in franchise I've ever seen in my like. Name a more depressing franchise than the Panthers.
Well, the Jets.
But I mean, like in a single season, like name a lower low than where the Panthers are right now. People just don't care about the Panthers. That's all it is.
They're almost a non-entity at this point.
Right? It's like the Chargers. We talked about this. No one in the Titans. No one cares about these teams.
No, you're right.
I
Man.
live in Charlotte. I can like there's fans, of course. There's going to be fans, but people here are friendly about the Panthers. They're like, yeah, they're not very good. It's not like they're not like losing sleep over it. But the Panthers are pretty miserable right now. They've been above average as an opponent for quarterbacks thus far. Vegas, Denny, They are second in pass rate over expected, depending on which source. I look at NFELO a lot. It's a good site for some of these numbers. But I also pull numbers myself, and I look at neutral script pass rate, which is I look at quarters 1 to 3 when games are within 6 points, and they're seventh in neutral script pass rate so far. The Raiders are. So
Yeah.
they've oddly been a very pass heavy team to start the year. That's good for Gardner Minshew. They have the 14th best implied team total this week. I don't mind Minshew, especially with Andy Dalton starting, because now we might get a little bit more back and forth than we otherwise would.
That's exactly it. Dalton makes a huge difference, not in that we want to stream him or use him in any capacity, but because he's a real NFL quarterback who can get this offense actually moving in the right direction. And I actually think it means that Deontay Johnson's going to eat. Honestly,
I hope.
Offense.
That's another guy I had too much of, and it's not been good to start.
The only way Deontay was ever going to get there for fantasy was if Bryce Young was benched. So we're on to something. I have a lot of Deontay
after seeing how Bryce was. The one thing I will say though, I want to get your take. Mel Kiper had a pretty good rant. I saw Awful Announcing tweeted it, and it was about the fact that if you think like think of this from Bryce Young's perspective, okay. He comes in, he gets a new coaching staff this year. Of course, he was trash last year. He gets a new coaching staff this year, and they play him for one series in the preseason.
Yeah.
And it was against, a trash Bills, it was like their fourth stringers, whatever. He plays one series, they score, and they're like, okay, everything's great. And then he gets 2 games. Like, realistically, is that enough to pull the plug? What I think's going on right now is that this is not just a Dave Canales decision. This is a let's see if Canales is actually good at what he's doing decision, right? Because if you replace the quarterback and you say it's the quarterback's problem, then all of a sudden you can see if this is a schematic thing or not.
I think that what they're saying is we know we don't have anything in Bryce Young. We have to see if we have something in Dave Canales as the head of the football team. But I think it's time. I mean, this is not a situation. Somebody suggested to me today that you need another year of data to know if Bryce Young is good or bad. You don't.
I agree with that. Yeah.
It's over. It's over. And so they need to move forward as if they're going to reinvest at some point in the quarterback position, because this is not going to work. But Andy Dalton makes this Raiders game a lot more interesting, to get back to the point. Also, Minshew is leading the league in completion rate over expected. He's actually kind of amazing right now.
Yeah, which is wild. And also the Bryce Young thing, there are very few, like we're seeing it with Sam Darnold a little bit. There are some systems where I think that almost any quarterback can at least be competent in, right? And so like maybe that happens for him down the line.
Yeah.
But in terms of like this current situation where his head's at, he probably does need to just sit at the end of the day.
I don't know how it can go up from here, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to tight end.
Yeah.
I'll kick things off because I have 3 and you have 2. Let's go to Hunter Henry. This is probably the easiest one of the week. Last week, he had a 50% target share for New England.
That's crazy.
Which is just wild. He's run well over 80% of their routes, or run a route on well over 80% of their dropbacks to start the season. The Jets have been average in tight end target share a lot. They've been good against tight ends in general from a fantasy points perspective, but teams are targeting tight ends at a pretty average rate against them. I mean, Hunter Henry is just a big part of this New England offense. He's probably, top 12 to 14 tight end rest of the season, you would imagine.
It's actually crazy, but I actually think it's higher than that.
Yeah, it could be.
Because they don't have anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Were you done with him?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Then I will move on to Zach W. Ertz IV against the Bengals. I mean, look, we can't really get excited. Legally, we can't get excited about anybody in this Washington offense besides Jaden Daniels and maybe Brian Robinson. But, Ertz is running 83% route rate through 2 games, second highest target share on the team behind McLaurin. Washington is actually middle of the pack in pass rate over expected, which is kind of surprising. And the Commanders are 7.5-point dogs against Cincinnati. So maybe they'll have to pick up the pace and throw it a little bit. You could do worse.
I'm going to go to, honestly, the K. Dotton before K. Dotton, in my opinion, is Tyler Conklin.
Oh, man.
He's also a cardio king, cardio Conklin, we could call him, instead of Conk Daddy. He's 3rd in the NFL in route participation at tight end. Tyler
We love
Conklin.
that.
But he's
If you get points per routes, you got
yeah, right. Yeah. Tyler Conklin's a great pick in points per route run leagues. He hasn't seen much production though at all. He's basically seen a 6% target share on the season. But he's a breathing tight end who's getting a lot of routes, so we're gonna look his way.
We don't like non-breathing tight ends.
Right, yeah.
Luke Schoonmaker. I said it. I don't know if it's right or not.
Yeah,
but,
no one knows.
Yeah, he plays for the Cowboys, by the way. Look, he only ran 15 routes on 46 dropbacks for the Cowboys in week 2, but he somehow, JJ, saw 6 targets on 15 routes and caught all 6. So that's what we call the process. No, I mean, it's touch and go with the Shoon, as the kids are calling them. You could do worse. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, look, and this is dependent on Jake Ferguson playing or not.
Yeah, right. If Ferguson plays, Ferg Daddy.
Last one is Mike Gesicki. So a lot of people are going to look at what he did last week: 16.1 PPR points, 26.5% target share. That looks really, really good on paper, but he is still outside the top 30 in tight end route participation. And Eric All, their rookie, who I liked a decent bit as a prospect, he got more involved this past week. He saw 9% route participation in week 1. I think last week it was 37%. So you're seeing him get a little bit more involved. Mike Gesicki's not running a ton of routes, but I think just based on his usage last week, you might be able to, say, hey, it's Washington. They're terrible. You know that Mike Gesicki could line up at wide receiver at times. Maybe they give him a little bit more work because of how he performed this past week. So I do think Gesicki's in play, but don't let last week make you think that he's like a top 10 option because his route participation was pretty bad.
It was like half, right? It was 50%.
Yeah, it's basically half, like 51%.
He was targeted on 43% of his routes, which is
not going to happen.
Quite high for Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, for anyone.
For literally anyone, yeah.
That's like literally Isaiah Likely in week 1 is what Gesicki was this past week.
All right, so we're on to defenses.
Yeah, you got 2.
Yeah, I have the Colts, who will be without DeForest Buckner, their best defensive player, but nevertheless, we persist. So the Colts have a terrible rush defense, like catastrophically bad, as we saw last week against Green Bay. But the Bears don't really run the ball, and they suck on the ground. So I think we can kind of avoid that. We can kind of put that to the side and look at Caleb Williams, who is 10% under his expected completion rate through 2 games. He has been sacked on an unbelievably high 31% of his pressures through 2 games. Sack-based floor is what I'm saying. And the Colts have I have a little nugget here. Colts have the 6th highest rate of quarterback hurries. So I think Caleb Williams will remain in hell until morale improves.
Yeah, he's been kind of rough, man. The offensive line's been rough, but like he's not been, like Jaden Daniels has been better to start their careers.
What is it with the overthrowing? Can he just relax? I mean,
chill out, man. Chill. I'm going to go with the Bucs against Denver. The Bucs are a little bit banged up front, so that's a little bit of, a downgrade. But Denver has allowed a top 10 pressure rate on the year. The Bucs have been pretty average at getting the quarterback in terms of generating pressures. There's a 7-point spread here, though. The Broncos have an implied team total that's just above 16. They're a disaster offensively. You can go with the Bucs and feel pretty good about their floor.
I thought the Bo Nix scam would work, but the Bo Nix scam has so far not worked.
Yeah, I thought it would at least make them like maybe the 20th best offense in the league, maybe something like that, right? With like the way Sean Payton might just be a complete fake sharp.
Well, I mean, he's running an offense from 24 years ago. Basically. I mean, I feel like it's time to update. Also, Bo Nix had a great post-game quote. I don't know if you saw it, where they asked him, hey, Bo, tell us about that last interception in the end zone. He says, well, yeah, I dropped back and I threw it to the other team.
Yeah, it's good.
like Bo is very much over it.
Yes. All right. Last one, Denny.
Yeah, sorry. Raiders against the Panthers. Raiders are 5.5-point home favorites against a disastrous offensive line. I got nothing else.
All right. To recap, Zach Ertz, Luke the Schoon, Mocker Maker.
Is it Shoon or
Shoon? I don't know. I don't. I usually am prepared for I know pronunciation. Like it's a thing that I care deeply about. I just haven't done it with him because I don't know. I just don't care enough. I haven't brought him up in the late round podcast yet, I guess.
The announcers were all over the place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's the thing, is like there hasn't been a very consistent. The one that was annoying me over the summer was Kamani Vidal, because I actually did I tell you about this? I bookmarked an interview where he said his name and it was Vidal, and everyone calls him Vidal because of the AL, but it's Vidal.
I've been saying Vidal
Yeah, it's Vidal.
as
Kamani
in
Vidal.
Ford Vidal.
Not that it matters. He's not going to play in the NFL, so it's not a big deal.
No, it's
Um,
over.
no, it better not be over. Mike Gesicki, Tyler Conklin, Cardio Conklin, Hunter Henry, Raiders D, Bucks D, Colts D, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, Gardner Minshew, and Coverboy. Coverboy's been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
With 2 Bakers. Now Derek Carr. Don't ruin us, Derek.
He's going to be good. I know it. I just know it.
All right, we're gonna go to Twitter. We don't have a ton of questions this week.
Really?
A little disappointed.
What's wrong with you
by
guys.
Yeah. Why aren't you guys feeding this podcast and giving us content?
It's your job to create content for us. Hey, in the chat here on YouTube, and by the way, folks listening on audio, you can join us on YouTube 4:30 Eastern time on Tuesdays. And feel free to throw in some questions.
All right, they're saying Schoonmaker per the internet.
Schoonmaker.
Like he's making. I don't want to say. I feel like it's like some sort of derogatory name that I don't know that first part. So I'm just not even going to say it.
Right, he's making scoons.
Yeah, there you said it. Thank you. First question is from @number1punna. Rank the 5 main color guys. Okay, this is a good question. I want to hear your take on this.
Okay.
Collinsworth, Herbstreit, Brady, Romo, and Aikman.
Look, I've been a Brady hater since high school, and I will continue to be a Brady hater.
Oh, he's been horrible to start.
It's not like actively bad, but it's so boring.
Yeah, he has that kind of voice though. He doesn't. His voice is like very. I don't want to say monotone, but it doesn't get very. It's the opposite of mine, because mine goes very up and down pretty consistently. His does not at all.
I mean, he has not said one interesting thing in 2 games. I don't really know if that's a product of his games being blowouts, because they're just sending him to every Cowboys game at this point. And Cowboys games are always one way or the other a blowout. So I feel like he doesn't want to be there. I don't know. So he's the worst. Who were the others?
All right. So you got Collinsworth, Herbstreit, Romo, and Aikman left.
Romo, now that I guess the network told him to stop doing the little trick where he calls out the play.
Yeah.
So without that, I don't know what else there is.
Now that he cares less.
He also doesn't really know the players, which is kind of weird. Yeah. Where he's like, "Oh, this kid T. Higgins, he's impressing me." I mean, seriously, he did not know who T. Higgins was.
Yeah.
Last year, Collinsworth works for NBC, number 1 in that ranking.
See, so you're saying that because you're a company man. I'm saying that I think Collinsworth is the best. Like,
I do like him.
People hate Chris Collinsworth, but he is providing, like, say what you want about like PFF and stuff like that. He's providing like relevant, interesting data to the conversation that other people are just not doing.
He strikes me as a curious guy who brings that curiosity to the way he analyzes the game. And you can't say that for hardly anybody announcing football games.
I'd say Collinsworth first, Herbstreit second. I'd say Romo and Aikman kind of in a tier together, and then Brady last.
Aikman I like. I can do without him just going on and on every time a team goes for it on 4th down.
That's why I'm putting him there. Yeah.
Every single, it could be the most obvious situation where you have to go for it, where all the analytical models are pointing. Oh, and Joe Buck with the passive aggressive. Well, the analytics say go for it.
Yeah.
And then Aikman gets so mad. Well, when we won Super Bowls, we never went for it on 4th down. You were playing with plumbers, man.
Yeah. So Best Ball on Call in chat says sleeping on Olsen. No, if Olsen's on this list, he's number 1. We just don't have. He's not on this list that we're talking about.
Very good. Yeah.
Olsen's really good. Yeah. But then also play-by-play guys. Okay. You ready for this? There's 5.
Okay. Yeah.
There's 5. Tirico, Michaels, Burkhart, Nance, and Buck.
So Michaels lost his fastball a long time ago.
He did. I think current Michaels is probably got to be 5 because he's not old Michaels is arguably 1.
I love
old Michaels.
90s Michaels.
Wasn't that like the Antonio Freeman cat that he did
Yeah.
what types? Like he was so good. Yeah.
Oh, so good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, his voice, is nostalgic just hearing it because of how much I used to watch him and enjoy him. But I mean, his heart's not in it. He was paid $1 billion, and what are you going to do after that?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
So
uh,
there's Burkhart, Nance, Buck, and Tarico.
I
Am I? Go ahead. Go ahead. What are
I
you gonna
love
say?
Tariq. I love,
I
and
do
then not
too.
just
I like
it's
Tarico. I
not just
like
an NBC
Tarico.
thing. I love Tarico in golf. I love him in football.
Tarico is
I
good.
can't get enough of Tarico.
I agree. Tarico's really good. I'd put Tarico one. I'd probably put. What's your Joe Buck stance?
Um, I feel like he is corrupted by Aikman. Because
Yeah.
Aikman is such an old school guy, and so he kind of rubs off on Buck, and so Buck's always doing the like, we got to establish a run to establish the pass. You know what I mean? Like all this like backward, like old school stuff. But I think that's just Aikman rubbing off on him.
Yeah, I would also say that people also have strong opinions about Joe Buck. But my thing about Buck is that he's very good at allowing you to feel what's going on in the stadium or arena or wherever he's at.
Yeah.
Where like because he doesn't say too much. And that's what
No.
people hate that about him, but I kind of like it. You get the immediate enthusiasm and then he lets it sit. And I kind of
Yeah.
like that.
He lets it breathe.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I'm good with that. I don't need a guy talking the whole time.
Yeah. And then I'd probably I might go Tarico, Buck, Burkhart, Nance, Michaels.
I would put Nance second.
Okay.
I mean,
Is that a golf bias?
it
Right
might
there?
be, but also Nance is such a professional. I'm not that these
Yeah.
guys are not professionals, but like, you know how we talk about like Field Yates is like the most professional
Yes.
guy we've
Yeah.
ever met.
Yeah.
I feel like Nance is that level. Like he's never misspoken on
Yeah.
air. Like he's never stumbled over a word. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think we did a pretty good job there.
Yeah.
Kind of breaking it down. All
Yeah.
right, next question. This is from Steak Knife obviously. Have either of you guys been on a cruise? If so, pros and cons. My wife and I are considering going on one next year, but neither of us have been on one and are unsure if it's a good idea or not.
It sounds like a bad idea. I've never been on one. Have you?
I've been on 3.
Okay.
I went on 2, two with my family. One was like with a group, like other families, like family friends and stuff. And then one was after my, like a few months after my grandma had passed to kind of like, I mean, I was in like 10th grade, just to kind of like get away and,
Yeah, sure.
not to think about it. And then the last one was actually with the first company I ever worked for. I got there
Really?
and it was an ad agency. Okay. It's this ad agency. I'm still friends with some people that I worked with and stuff, like great people. The CEO, awesome dude. And he said, if we double revenue year over year, which I got there halfway through, but he liked me, so he let me go on this cruise. If you double revenue, he'd take us all on a cruise. We went on a 4-day cruise as a company.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. Yeah, it was fun. I don't know, like cruises are cool, but I think I'd lean all inclusives instead of going on a cruise because the open waters, I don't know about you, Denny, but the older I get, the less I like the actual ocean.
It's a little freaky, but doesn't everybody just get the shits on these boats? Right? I mean that's what happened. It just goes around the entire boat and everybody's just shitting themselves. Sorry.
Yeah, right. You spend half the time just pooping your brains out, on the cruise. No, I mean like it's fun. It's fun and it's cool and it's a decent experience and you get to go to multiple places and stuff like that. I'm openly admitting the older I get, the more afraid I am of the ocean because the more I learn that we know nothing about the ocean.
Oh, are you afraid of a monster popping out of the ocean?
I'm afraid. I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's stuff going on underneath you, and you have no idea what's going on. It's a really uncomfortable feeling. I don't like that. Especially going out in the ocean when you're on vacation. Like I don't need to like see if a jellyfish is gonna come up and bite and sting me. Like I don't need to deal with that.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, jellyfish
Just let me go in the pool.
It sounds like you're afraid that a large dinosaur-like animal is going to flip your boat. That's what you,
no,
yeah.
But look, there's I don't want to go. It's sort of like turbulence on an airplane. Okay, I don't like airplane turbulence either. I am very much. No. I mean, like more than the average person. I can't handle it as much, right? I'll still fly. I'm not like like freaking out and not being able to fly. But when you're on a ship, okay, you can hit a storm, you can hit stuff, your boat's swaying, and then they're all like, "Oh, this is fine. Don't worry about it. We go through this all the time." But I'm not going on cruises all the time. I don't know this happens all the time. And then you go on TikTok and you see people like having to put on their life preservers and stuff because they're gonna have to jump off the boat into the monsters that are in the ocean.
The monster could come out at any time.
You
You
never
don't
know.
know.
You never know. Never know.
I'm not afraid of the ocean. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. I got into this conversation with my brother-in-law when we went to the beach last year. How much would you need to run 100 yards out into the ocean in the dead of night? No light whatsoever outside.
Millions.
What?
Into the 100 yards. Do you know how deep 100 yards? Like you're saying, swim into the ocean.
Yeah.
You said run, which is
I mean run, and then eventually you'll be swimming.
What are you, Moana? So okay, no, so you're running. Okay, so you're doing a sprint, a frolic into the ocean. Okay, and then you're going to keep going. 100 yards is so long.
100 yards, and then you got to come back.
Millions.
I would do it for like $300.
$300. Do you know how you'd be gone? You'd be gone. You'd have like a 50-50 chance of dying in the middle of the night going 100 yards, Denny. 100 yards. A football field's length into the ocean. You're acting like it's going to be up to your waist.
It's nothing. Come on.
What kind of oceans are you going to?
What's going to happen? What's going to happen to you in 100 yards?
What's going to happen? There are species in the ocean that we don't even know exist.
Oh my God.
We find like thousands of them every year.
Stop this nonsense about species. You're not going to encounter anything. You're just going to run.
Can you even swim 100 yards?
What? Are you kidding me?
100 yards is a long way.
I mean, I can't like swim like Michael Phelps for 100 yards, but I can get out 100 yards.
Chad is on my side for the first time in this decade. Chad is actually on my side with something, which typically means though, because after the fact, usually chat is wrong. I've noticed. Like last week, by the way, Stoic Physician, one of our listeners. Oh man, I lost the tweet. But Stoic Physician said that my stance on body parts and losing a toe was correct.
Yeah, man, I saw
it was right. And everyone in chat and you're all criticizing me, calling me a moron, saying I need to go back to school, all this kind of stuff. No one was saying that. But
they should have.
It was really hurtful. And I was actually right at the end of the day.
Okay. All right. So everybody's on your side. Index of Suspicion says Denny is the guy who could fight a bear or land a plane. No. I can't. Obviously, I would die within seconds of fighting a bear, and I would destroy a plane within minutes. So no, obviously I can't do that. But I don't know, guys. I feel like I can swim as far as I can hit a sand wedge.
Okay. But still, Denny, it's the middle of the night. There are going to be species out there that will want to bite your leg off.
100 yards is basically an Olympic-sized pool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah, not easily in the middle of the night. You're like, I'm also thinking straight out. You're gonna be zigzagging and going everywhere in the pitch black. You're gonna have no idea where you're going. Could you even imagine like would you even? I would even go underwater with like a lamp to see and goggles because I wouldn't want to be swimming and then all of a sudden this barracuda just comes and just bites my face off.
I mean, your real fear here is undiscovered species coming and biting your legs off.
It doesn't have to be undiscovered. I'm just saying there are undiscovered. There's undiscovered species in general, but there's a ton. We know nothing about the ocean. Nothing. We know very little about the ocean.
I'm okay with that.
It's why?
I've been in the ocean. I'm fine. Nothing.
How many times have you been 100 yards? Without anything in the ocean.
Greece, I was 100 yards out into the ocean.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was
in Greece. You have to go to another continent to make up this lie.
And it was fine. And I don't have footage of it. And I don't have any pictures. But I lived.
Rich is saying JJ's the guy who has seaweed touch his ankle and he jumps out of his britches. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Okay, you're not wrong. I was in a lake a couple weeks ago, and we were like a month ago swimming with friends in the lake, and there's like these little fishies that like go around and they like, they like nibble on you or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it happened to me, and I like literally jumped, like just over exaggeration jump whenever
Okay.
that
All right.
happens, because I don't want to deal with this stuff.
So yeah, you have a deep fear of the. I didn't know this. Diego Lopez in the chat says there have been more people on the moon than there have been in the deepest parts of the ocean.
Yes.
Diego, I understand that. And guess what? I'm not going to the deep depths of the ocean
But
where
you don't know what's
where
you
my
don't know
skull would cave
you don't know
in.
what's coming out of the deep part of the ocean.
I'm
You don't know
not
what's
going there. I'm
Yeah, but
going 100 yards out.
you don't know you don't know what's going to be coming from that area of the ocean.
If we were at the beach, I would say, JJ, I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'm going to go out 100 yards and come back.
That
And I'd be
you're gonna
fine.
go out 100 yards and back in 5 minutes in the pitch black in the ocean.
And I want my 300 that night. I don't want it
When
the next
there's
morning.
waves and there's riptides and all crazy stuff going on. Yeah, have fun. Have fun. Next question, at Beefcake5. Are you the commissioner of any fantasy leagues? If so, what do you try to do to keep people engaged as the season drags on / injuries build up? Do you commission any leagues?
No, I never have.
Really?
Never.
I commish two dynasty leagues in a home league. And I don't know, it's just about, to me, it's just about like chatting with league mates and stuff,
Yeah.
and like, just doing that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm not big on like commissioner advice and stuff like that. It just isn't a big enough thing for me.
Yeah,
It doesn't do it for me.
I as the meme goes, I ain't reading all that to be a commissioner. I'm just not putting in that kind of effort.
Bethany L. Peters hit us up, and she says, since my Berlin marathon is in 12 days, she's running a marathon in 12 days.
Congratulations.
And this is a poop podcast. I'll reveal that marathoners talk about poop.
Okay.
Which, I'm not surprised by that. And then she says, a lot. JJ has famously run a half marathon and said full marathoners are crazy, which I do still say that they are. Like I ran 13.1 miles, and I like felt the worst I've ever felt in my life.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I was up there for sure.
That's a lot, man.
I'm gonna do it again though, because I need to break the time that I didn't get last time. Is this sentiment poop related? No, it's not poop related. That sentiment. Number 2, any advice on being able to complete the pre-race poop? Lots of fiber. Maybe have a poop bomb in the morning, right?
Oh, yeah. So you posted that picture.
I did post the picture. Yeah.
And then I posted a picture of my chickpea situation.
Yeah.
And I got destroyed, and you did too.
Oh, I got absolutely annihilated. My high school friends annihilated me too. And I'm like, guys, I didn't like my high school buddies are like why can't the presentation, like why can't you put the beans on the side? I'm like, I'm not doing this to present some sort of like I'm a chef. I made eggs and put beans on it and just put salt on top.
Yeah. What are you, the bear? I mean, come on.
This is ridiculous. I'm not Bobby Flay. Like
this isn't for the gram. You know, you're just trying to eat something in the morning. As was I was trying to eat my chickpeas, and I'm being told it's a poverty meal. This is so messed up. Why are you guys calling me poor?
It is crazy though that like no matter what you post to the internet, someone will absolutely just annihilate it
every time. For God's sake, do never ever post your steak. Don't post your steak.
Man, I could have. I made steak over the weekend.
You should never post it, because some man will be like, "Oh, that's the worst steak I've ever seen," even if it looks delicious. Do you Oh, that was a mistake.
That was a huge mistake, because I'm not a good golfer, and I have a baseball swing and all that kind of stuff. And I posted it not as in like a look, like critique this, look at me. It was like, this is part of, I'm just saying I'm playing golf or something like that. It was
right. Having fun.
Enjoying my life with a friend, like God forbid. And then everyone's like, keep your head down, arms straight. Like, oh my God, chill out, people. Chill.
Oh, you don't listen. I consider myself a pretty decent golfer. Yeah. I play a lot of golf, and I go to the driving range a lot and everything. I have posted my swing, and people have been like, not only is that a terrible swing, it should be a crime against humanity.
Right.
I'm like, hold up. Wait, are you telling me what this is like the worst possible swing? Like, yes, actually it is. People are brutal. And by the way, every man online like hits their 6-iron like 240 yards, like flies their driver 330. No, you don't. When you say you hit your driver 330, that means that you think at the driving range one time you hit it 300. You've never done it since.
Yes. I think that what it comes down to is that not everything that and look, this is because of what culture has done. It's because of the Instagram world where everything has to be optimal and pristine and perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas if you post a picture of eggs with beans on top and salt, you're not doing it because you're saying, look at me, look at me. You're doing it because you're saying, this is what I consume realistically every morning.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
This
all it
is a
is.
real, sorry if this triggers you, but it's a real meal. It's not just for
Right.
Instagram.
Right. Right. I don't need to show you guys the and look, I did it with the late round slop too. Whenever I whenever I was eating a lot of ground turkey and avocado.
I don't know what, yeah, and people say, "Oh, it's weird that you buy 10 cans of chickpeas a week." But I mean, what am I supposed to do? I eat it every day.
Sure. Sure.
We
It's
love our chickpeas.
a little weird. Next question at Johnny F Ball Seed. What's the worst experience? Sitting down on a freezing cold toilet seat or sitting on a surprisingly warmed up seat? I think I know my answer is a surprisingly warmed up one.
The warmed up one is the worst by far.
Yeah, you honestly start to
That
gag a little bit
Yeah,
whenever
that's
when it
the worst
happens.
because you're like, "Oh my god."
Yeah,
Like
someone else
like somebody else just, like, blasted this thing 5
because
seconds ago.
right, because when you go to the bathroom, you assume you're the first person to ever use that toilet.
Y Well, you hope, and so you're thinking somebody else's fecal matter is just circulating around me right now.
Yeah, that is by far worse. You know it's fresh, you know it just happened. What are you laughing at?
Somebody said warm is actually assault. It's
Oh
so
man.
true.
Next one at Tom Otten _FF. How often do you wash your slippers?
I don't have slippers.
I don't. Okay, that's why I
You're my
wanted to talk
kid?
about this. Okay,
You're my
that's why I
four?
wanted to talk about this. Who wears slippers? Do people wear slippers consistently?
Put on your working boots, brother.
Put
You are wearing
are
slippers.
you a, did we talk about this? Are you a shoes in the house family?
No. My kids
Okay.
and my wife take them off immediately when they enter the house. I have never taken off my shoes.
Armando said JJ has a fresh toilet installed every time. Thanks, patrons.
We love our patrons.
We do. We really. I use all my Patreon money to just install a new toilet seat
Just
every
a
time I go to the
toilet
bathroom.
every time.
Every day. The entire dump where I live.
Yeah, just
Dump
fill
isn't
with
as in
toilet.
the landfill, not the one that I'm going to be taking in the morning. It's just filled with my old toilet seats. So slippers. Like, what percent of the adult population do you think wears slippers?
Oh, I'm sure that our listeners would be like, everybody wears slippers, actually.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I would say 5% of the adult population wears slippers.
It's got to be 50.
50?
50%. Yeah, it's got to be 50.
No chance.
No, JJ, listen. And the comfort culture, which is out of control, is obsessed with foot comfort, which is why they wear, those
50 is nuts.
Crocs. Yeah, no. So they're wearing. People are probably spending literally hundreds of dollars on slippers a year.
Someone has to figure this out. Do a research paper on it. There's no way. There's no way that there's 50%.
Armando Guzman says me wearing slippers right now. What the F?
Yeah, look. I don't wear slippers. My wife and daughter might every once in a while, but even they don't wear. I don't understand the slipper stuff. And if your argument is like it's cleaner, or just wear socks. Just put socks on. Put a pair of socks on. They're just as comfortable. That's it.
I'm sure we are like deeply offending people whose identity is tied up in their slippers.
Yeah, right. All right. We'll go with one more. We spent a lot of time on your hypothetical of running into the ocean. So we'll get to one more. This one is from at Mingus. It says, did your kids immediately think farts were funny, or did you have to train them? Every time my toddler daughter farts, I start laughing. Now she will fart and then lock eyes with me and start laughing. Can't tell if this is terrible parenting or not, but it cracks me up.
It's not bad parenting, first of all.
No, that's not bad. Farts are the stuff with like I remember growing. My mom didn't even want me to say the word fart. Like it was
No
I had to say toot. Yeah,
toot.
Yeah, like it was bad to say fart. Yeah.
Oh, I was told. My mom actually made sure that I never accused a woman of farting.
Oh yeah. I mean, that seems more sensible than actually just not using that word.
She was like, look, men fart and women toot.
Yeah.
And
Okay, yeah.
and then eventually I was like, no. I've actually met some women who just rip it. So that's
Yeah. No, look, farts are funny. I think farts are funny when they're at inappropriate times. It's
they're
funny.
funny. It's inherently funny. It's a funny sound. It's coming
Yeah.
out of your butt. You
Right.
know, that's funny to any kid. You don't have to be taught that's innate
Right.
in the human experience, is saying,
Yeah, it's part of our
and
DNA.
it's saying that that's funny. You
Yeah,
know,
right. Like it's a funny sound that you don't hear typically out in the regular world. And you can then just make the noise. You know, CJ loves it when I just go, you know, and
that's
he'll start laughing, he'll go right back, and we'll just go back and forth for a good 5 minutes. Like it's good fun.
my
Innocent fun.
my kid asked the other day why. He said, because the dog farts sometimes, and it actually is so bad I want to die.
Dog farts are different. They're
and
the dog farts are
the
bad.
Zoomers say they hit different. Now he farts, and my kid says, Dad, why doesn't it make any sound when he farts? And I had to explain that Ziggy doesn't have butt cheeks, honey.
Yeah, true.
So
True.
there's no
Never,
sound
to be
he
honest,
makes.
I never even thought about that before.
Yeah, I mean but yeah, that's why. And so it's silent but deadly, and man, is it deadly. God.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dog farts are.
I wanted to give him up for adoption.
Maybe the
when he got gassy.
dogs can still have loud farts.
No, they can't.
Yeah, they can still have loud
They don't
farts.
have butt cheeks, man.
You can still have loud farts.
I think you're misunderstanding what's happening with the sound.
No, they can
of a
just
fart.
just that it's the pressure that comes out. It's the air that comes. It can make a. It
Look.
can make a. Yes, it can. Dogs can. Like, we'll let people respond to us in our mentions. That'll be what we end the show on today.
We do need to leave it there because I'm about to get really mad.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Dogs can have loud farts because there's been videos of dogs who fart who have a noise, and they are scared. They get frightened.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh damn! Really? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe it's like the tail of them or something.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway. All right, Denny. This episode went way off the rails. So
It did.
Know where they
It
can
was
find
fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. At CD Carter 13 on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. You can find all my work, including the regression files, on RotoWorld.
All my stuff's over on lateround.com. Make sure you check that out. You know, I got my Patreon, all that good stuff. We also have the Patreon for Living the Stream. That specifically helps this show out so that we can continue to produce it, et cetera, et cetera. And then make sure you're following us on Twitter to ask these questions. It's at Live the Stream FF. On behalf of Denny Carter and JJ Zacharyson, we are out.
Thank you for listening to Living the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live in the stream.